Hello, my name is Michael Ramage. I'm the director of the Cyber Education Research Center here at Murray State University, and welcome back to 10 at 10. 10 at 10 is brought to you through a partnership between Murray State University, Sprocket, West Kentucky, and KY Innovation. Welcome back to episode 294 of 10 at 10. It's an even number episode. So today we are talking news of the last few days and weeks to see what nuggets are in there that we can learn to better protect ourselves, our organizations, and even our families in this new world that we live in. So, with that, let's just get right into it. I've got some interesting stories for those that haven't watched a ton of times. Let me say that when I select stories, when we're talking about different things, the goal is to help you be safer. It's not to talk about the biggest news in cyberspace. There's a lot of news happening with AI tools and with different things going on. There are fights and battles and things going on all the time. I talk about a lot of them, but I don't talk about all of them because that's not the intent of 10 at 10. It is to help the average user, average organization to be able to protect ourselves. So, with that in mind, I'm going to get right into to one. Carhartt data breach. Shiny hunters have claimed to have stolen information on 2.9 million users within Carhartt. So Carhartt is not a high tech company. It's workwear. It's well, the article says workwear and fashion retailer. Um, Fashion might be in the eye of the beholder, but yes, it's a clothing company. And 12.9 million individuals were affected by the alleged breach, at least according to the article. Carhartt has not commented on it and not claimed that it's happened yet. But $3.3 million was the extortion, the ransomware extortion. Shiny Hunters dumped what it said was 50 gig worth of Carhartt data on August 13th. And so it's got information from um, from Carhartt customers. I think there's a couple of things that are worth noting. First of all, the article, the byline of the article, one AI and two trained eyes delved into heavily padded leaks. It goes on to talk about that it was a hacker that wasn't an unskilled, what the criminals called the retailer hired what the criminals called a very unskilled and incompetent negotiator. Uh, Two parts to this I want to note. First of all, if you're using your information online, you are trusting that organization with that information, whether that is a high tech company or it's a retailer of clothing. You're trusting that organization. Second of all, this is a well established process now of getting hit with ransomware, of recovering from the ransomware, of negotiating the price, and doing all of these pieces. This is not a new thing anymore. So if you have a significant organization, then it is worth, first of all, that you know who you're going to call ahead of time so that you have that firm on standby to reach out to so you're not scrambling in this time of need. Second of all, you want to make sure the people you're working with know what they're doing. I've never negotiated with a ransomware gang. So, could I help you? Sure. Am I the person you want? Probably not. I know a lot of folks that are really good at that and have done that often, but you want to make sure that you're working with somebody that knows what they're doing. So that's the main thing I want you to take out of this article is that this is happening to, it's not limited to hospitals that we've been talking a lot about or tech companies or large major banks. This is all across the board. And if we as individuals or as organizations are trusting anybody with our credit card information, with our online data, then this has the potential of happening. All right, so next, don't even remember what I did next. I think, yes. So, first malware built specifically for car head units fuels botnet. Now, car head unit may not be a term that you're familiar with, so I wanted to make sure I touched on this. First of all, what this is talking about is, it's the computer that's operating kind of the brains of your car. Now, it's usually now you have that touch screen on the dash. It's what's running that. First malware built specifically for that unit. In this case, it's fueling a botnet. Here's what I take away from this story. First of all, if it's a computer and it's connected to the network, it needs to be protected. That includes your car, that includes your refrigerator, that includes your air conditioner, that includes your industrial controls that are running your water system that we talked about last week. Um, all systems need to be protected. How you protect those varies. And you may say, how do you protect your car? That's a good question. First, I would say make sure that even the software on your car is up to date. I think this article talks about that there was um, some updates to help patch that. So, yes, you want to make sure that you do that. Now, this was an Android Power aftermarket a system made by a Chinese company, Dofun, which is widely used by China and APAC, Asia Pacific countries. Um, so this may not affect us here in the U.S. by and large, but the point of this is um, everything's a target that's on the network, and so I want to make sure that you're protecting yourselves and those systems that are on the network. This to me is the first of things to come. And yes, you can update that software on your car. Next one is Uber was fined nearly $1 billion by Dutch regulators over automated suspension of driver accounts. So Uber has had some problems over the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years in a number of different areas. So this one in particular, they were fined $1 billion saying that the ride hailing company used automated software to suspend driver accounts, sometimes permanently, with no human review to check for mistakes. We've got to have a human element in this review process on most things. If you're making financial decisions, if you're making major decisions, then I highly recommend that there's a human review of anything that an AI agent does. Will we get to a point where that's not necessary? Maybe, but we're not there right now. So we need that human in the loop. Part of Uber's problem going back several years is that there was facial recognition software that was automatically authenticating users through the app to make sure their drivers were who they say they are. Well, to recognize features, the software was recognizing features on lighter skin than darker skin. So it was biased against people with darker skin tones. One could call that racist. Well, it wasn't intentional, but when testing the product, the people that were testing the product likely had lighter skin, and so they didn't test it on darker skin as much. Again, now that's the way that I understand it. It may have happened. If that's the case, it was an innocent mistake. But my point is that that is what you're trusting without verifying, without testing, without ensuring that it's correct, then that's on you. Those types of mistakes has resulted in nearly $1 billion lawsuit or a fine against Uber. Now, what does that mean in the United States? Well, first of all, in the United States, we don't have GDPR, the General Data Protection regulation that they have in Europe, so we're a little bit further behind where they're at. But you're still going to be liable for all those types of things. All right. I only got through 3 stories today. I know I talked too much about these, but, I think all of these are very important. I think all of these are worth us understanding and knowing what's going on and trying to apply these elements back to our organizations and what can we learn. So, all right, if you have questions on any of these or you want to talk more about any other topic that I didn't cover today, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to talk. I'm happy to talk about it on a future 10 to 10 episode. And if you need anything, thank you very much. I'm happy to help, and I'll see you next week back here on 10 at 10. Thank you. Bye.